Hi, my name is Malaysia Knowles, and this is my presentation on Boccaccio. Boccaccio was born in Florence, Italy in 1313, and he died in 1375. His father was a merchant, and his mother belonged to a well-respected or a well-known family. Boccaccio attended school in Florence and was forced to study business due to his father wanting him to become a banker, and he started studying business at the age of 10. But during those early stages, he was never really interested in business. He always had a passion for literature and eventually gave up studying altogether and dedicated his life to literature. He returned to Florence in 1345, where he became the legal guardian of his brother following his father's death, and he obtained a position in the public office in Florence. And they sent him on different diplomatic missions, and that's when he started to develop a friendship with Patriarch. And here we have some of the earliest works of Boccaccio, and the first one is Diana's Hunt, and basically it was a combination of allegory and myth, and it was meant to praise women during the Neapolitan society. And then here we have a representation of the Tessida, and basically a little background information on that is it takes place during the War of Decius, and two friends named Arcita and Palamon fall for the same woman named Emily, and in the end Arcita finally wins her over, but he dies in the tournament. And now we get the chance to discuss the Decameron, which was Boccaccio's most famous piece of literature. And it starts by giving an account of the bubonic plague and the circumstances that surround the bubonic plague. For example, a lot of things were left behind. Children were left behind, husbands were left behind, wives were left behind, and the city of Florence was in shambles because a lot of the authorities were deceased, so it was left unsupervised. And a lot of people fled from the city of Florence to the countryside because it had a smaller population and they can avoid any contact with others. And then it diverges into the description of a group of 10 young people who were rich, and the group consisted of 7 women and 3 men. And they all decided to flee Florence and go to the countryside to retire in a estate. And they had trouble figuring out who would be in charge of the group, so they all agreed to allow one person to be the king or the queen for the day, and that king or queen gets to decide what activities the whole group participates in, what dances are performed, what songs are performed, and each member got the chance to tell a story. Hence, the title Decameron, which translates to 10 days work. And in total there were 100 stories, and at the end of each story there was a song which consisted of some of Boccaccio's finest lyric poetry. Also, in the Decameron, there's a lot of deception, a lot of seduction, betrayal, but the group of people who participate in this deception is women. They are the ones who usually deceive their husbands or their lovers or anyone they're interested in. And you see a shift from women being silent or being in the shadows of their husbands. They start to develop their own perceptions of the world, and they start to participate in things that make them happy rather than worrying about the happiness of their husbands. Now, Boccaccio met Patrick in Florence, Italy in 1350, and Patrick didn't mind being Boccaccio's mentor or master as he was referred to. And as a result, they both created or established the concept of humanism. And humanism basically focuses on the importance of human beings rather than divine beings or supernatural matters. And this is important because you see a shift from a society that was solely based on God to a rebirth of a society that is now based on literature, art, technology, and science. And another aspect of humanism is the idea that humans are the center of the universe. But in the end, Boccaccio became depressed due to his failed relationships and also due to his deteriorating health. And most of his later works, women are portrayed in a bitter manner or a negative manner. And as a result, he planned on selling most of his work or burning most of his work. But Patrick stepped in and said that he would buy all of Boccaccio's works, but he never got the chance to because he died. So all of Boccaccio's work was donated to the monastery in Florence, Italy. Also, not only is Boccaccio credited with being the author of Decameron, he's also credited with being an influencer because writers such as Shakespeare and Chaucer borrowed and were impacted um, by Boccaccio's Decameron. So in the end, Boccaccio was not only a philosopher or a successful scholar, he was also the individual who created humanism, and humanism redefined how classical and ancient texts were interpreted. Thank you for viewing my presentation on Boccaccio.